Good morning, everybody. Welcome along. And just when you thought that things were starting to get a bit more sorted earlier in the week, well, no, they're not. Every single league is having their go, it seems, day by day this week. We've had the Premier League bun fight on Monday, then the Championship joined in, and then last night, the one place that we thought might actually be going towards some kind of conclusion, League One and League Two, well, the plot thickened there as well. So that's what we'll start with today. We thought, these League One and League Two clubs won't be able to absorb playing behind closed doors, incorporating testing against the loss of revenues that they would get without any ticket sales or possible cancelled sponsorships, etc., and that it would be cancelled and it was going to be a weighted points per game. However, it's not going to be that simple today as we go into the latest EFL meeting. It just seems like the EFL have been in a meeting for about the last 4 days, dearie me. And we had a tweet from Peterborough's highly, let's say, transparent and open owner, Dara McAntony. He says, with 6 asterisks, breaking news, I've been asked to relay this message on behalf of, and then he tags Oxford, Portsmouth, Sunderland, my team Ipswich, and his team Peterborough, to the EFL and media ahead of our League One meeting tomorrow morning. We, as a collective, are united in our goal to finish the season. We have no desire for voiding the season, points per game scenario stroke letting a computer decide our footballing fate. For our staff and for the integrity of our sport, we are all looking forward to completing our pending fixtures stroke season under guidance from the EFL at a time it is deemed safe to do so. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Dara. Wow, so complete sort of contradiction of certainly what I've been saying and what has been reported in the wider media this week. That group of clubs, that alliance, are some of the bigger League One clubs. Certainly, Sunderland in terms of revenue, Pompey, Peterborough, maybe Ipswich in terms of owners' wealth. Fleetwood, Fleetwood in there? I think I missed them out, didn't I? Yeah, Fleetwood are in there. Sorry, I did miss them out. Fleetwood in terms of the owner, they've put money in there, haven't they? So what you've now got is this alliance of 6 clubs, but not Rotherham and Coventry involved in this, and Rotherham and Coventry conspicuously are the top 2 there. So again, just the positioning of different clubs during this crisis against their proximity in the league and their personal situation coming to the fore yet again. Dara was then on Sky Sports this morning. I think he lives in America, doesn't he? He claimed that reports of calling everything off wasn't ever what he wanted to do. He spoke about a Zoom call with 6 clubs yesterday. I'm assuming that our owner at Ipswich, Marcus Evans, would have been on that call if it's these 6 clubs. And he said that the position of the clubs will be reflected in today's EFL meeting. So Gary Neville, who's obviously involved in Salford, then comes back at McAntony with the question of playing behind closed doors and the cost of testing, etc. So that view that had kind of become the conceived wisdom at the moment, that League One and League Two clubs couldn't do it. Maybe it's going to filter along a little bit now. We thought Premier League and Championship will go. Maybe it would just be League Two that doesn't play. Who knows? Because McAntony came back claiming, I mean, they were kind of throwing numbers around, and at one moment Gary Neville said testing would cost 150 grand, and then McAntony says 120 to 140. So, they're coming up, Gary Neville then comes up with a £300,000 number to complete the season behind closed doors, which Dara McAntony then counters with a reasonable argument, if these figures are true, from a Peterborough point of view, I know this won't be the same for every club, that it will cost almost double that in refunding season ticket sales. Certainly everybody knows that season ticket money for football clubs, they get it really, really early, don't they? Those early birds go out in April, so that money is banked and ready for the start of the new season to budget against. So it is a fair argument to say that if you're refunding part of that season ticket money, it is highly likely, especially if we do talk about championship clubs, that money has already been spent and is not in the bank anywhere. So I get that, and he was talking about a figure that would be more like double to play behind closed doors with testing than to to cancel as opposed to play behind closed doors with testing. So yes, if that's Peterborough's position, then it would be a reasonable argument to say if this is going to cost us double, then we would rather do this way. Huge mess now, isn't it? And obviously that is not going to be the position for all clubs. And it would strike me that you'd have a situation now where the clubs with higher revenues would stand to lose more by playing behind closed doors if the cancellation thing is right. I don't know that. I'm sure Andy Holt has probably got in from an Accrington Stanley point of view on Twitter, or will be talking about this as we go. You could have bigger, when I say bigger, I'm talking about turnover and revenue. The bigger clubs in League One in one camp, and the smaller clubs, again, I'm talking about lower revenue, lower amounts of money coming in, from through the gate. So one camp against the other. Generally in life, without sounding too like the little man, when you get a group of people with money battling a group of people without money, the conceived wisdom again is we know how that battle normally ends, don't we? So very, very interesting, and the plot thickening there. Obviously in the Premier League we've had the self-interest accusation against the lower teams, which did seem to be unfounded, but I'll use it just to make my point that you potentially could have had teams at the bottom trying to get things cancelled so no relegations would happen. Now what you've got is teams at the top, and obviously I don't include my team Ipswich in this, who did drop to 10th. But actually, no, let's talk about my team Ipswich, because you could actually get a situation where if the bigger, I'm just going to use that word because I can't think of a better one, clubs manage to force through playing, they could be at quite an advantage if the smaller clubs are struggling to do things and can't offer the month's extension of the contracts, and you don't know what other problems are going to come up if one camp is going to be much better off than the other. And a drop in motivation, you could argue that a team like Ipswich with 3 home games to go against 3 of the worst away teams in the league, I think they've got Milton Keynes, Bolton and Southend all to come at home, and the points per game says that they would get 3.9 points for those games, whereas the likelihood is they might get 7 or 9. Who knows? It could be that they're actually looking at it as a chance. Is it an unfair playing field to plough through and maybe get back into that playoffs? Obviously that wouldn't play well with other fans, the idea that bigger clubs with bigger revenues were trying to push through an advantage at a time like this. Obviously, throughout the history of life and business and football particularly, that's always been the case. Bigger clubs with bigger revenues are able to press home an advantage over smaller clubs with smaller revenues. But I don't know how that would play from an Ipswich point of view. Season tickets weren't bad this season. Figures actually went up after the McCarthy issue and people stopping going up in the Championship, etc. So you would think they would be in a situation where they were making probably quite a lot more than a Rochdale or a Southend, or name a club with a smaller stadium and smaller revenues as an example against. So maybe there is an advantage there. Who knows? Be very interested in people's thoughts, because I did think League One had been kind of swept under the carpet there. In terms of the testing, the EFL have been quite clear that clubs are going to have to pay for it. So 140k each. I did a quick on my iPhone. Times that by 71 is £10 million worth of testing across the EFL would need to be done. Government aren't going to pay for it. The Premier League going to pay for it? I don't know. Can the clubs foot that bill? Who knows? Do they need some help? Can they get some help? The Premier League would say, well, we've already advanced the solidarity payments. Wow. Get your comments in on League One. Is this the right thing to do for these clubs that potentially make more money but then stand to lose more money? The greater good, as I've kind of said all the way through this, is what's best for the most amount of teams would probably be to cancel it, wouldn't it? Because there only seems to be this select few that are banging the drum for playing it. But we've heard now several chairmen now being very honest and saying it's not what's best for the greater good, it's what's best for my club. And I suppose when it's your personal wealth, if you are Marcus Evans or Andy Pilley at Fleetwood or Dara McAntony at Peterborough, Andy Holt at Accrington, it's your own wealth, and you kind of got to do what's best for your club, haven't you? So very, very tricky situation. Let me know your thoughts on the alliance between those 6 clubs, the idea of League One continuing playing, how on earth some of those clubs would foot the bill for testing and the balance and the loss of revenues. But what do you think of Dara McAntony's argument of, oh well, it'd be way worse for these 6 clubs by my calculations to cancel? So very, very tricky. Get your thoughts in the comments on that. I'm sure we'll have a vast, that's the beauty of doing this, a vast difference in opinions between people who are supportive and people who are dead against it. But don't let that stop you getting your comments in. Really interested in the kind of flow of opinion here. Let's do a slightly less confusing and maybe more positive story, because we do have an example of the Premier League helping the lower divisions, because Harry Kane, the Great England striker, tweeted yesterday he's very proud to announce that he'll be supporting the club that gave me my first pro start and 3 amazing causes by sponsoring Leyton Orient's shirts for the 2021 season. So Harry Kane is going to pay for the Orient shirt sponsorship. He's obviously met the payment that they wanted there, and then he's going to put Mind, which is on the sleeves of the EFL shirts, or is it still? I don't remember, sorry about that. And Haven House Children's Hospice, which I assume is local to Leyton Orient. That will go, I assume one will go on the home shirt and one will go on the away shirt. So Kane was on loan at Orient when he was 17. He was on loan at loads of clubs, wasn't he? But this is his first one. He scored 5 goals there. 10% of the shirt sales go to the good causes. So yeah, a good news story. Seems like a nice bloke, Harry Kane, and I'm sure there's plenty of footballers. I'm not saying Harry Kane's done this for publicity. He just doesn't seem bothered by that sort of stuff. So I'm sure it's a lovely gesture. I just wanted to say as well, I'm sure there's plenty of footballers who, with no fanfare, and again, I'm not saying Harry Kane's asked for the fanfare here, but frankly he deserves it, who have done stuff for smaller clubs and clubs that gave them a leg up and a help, etc. So yeah, a good news story to go in with many, many confusing stories and self-interest stories and things of that nature. So that is today's update. EFL meeting later. I'm sure we'll be more confused and know less about anything after that's happened, because it just seems to be going that way, doesn't it? So yeah, get your comments in on the League One position of a higher revenue club, maybe being at more of a financial disadvantage through the cancellation than a lower revenue club, and vice versa, and how that will play out, and your thoughts on Harry Kane's nice gesture, and maybe some other Premier League players might now step up and find lower league clubs to do the same, and get that revenue in for them ahead of the 2021 season. whenever the hell that starts. Quick apology, I had a couple of people complaining about adverts on the videos. I put these videos up and then there's a button on YouTube that says monetization, which I press. I'm not aware where the adverts position in the video, so I'll have a look at that when I upload this one, and we'll see if we can just get one on the front and one on the end, maybe. Obviously, I'd love to make a go of doing this, so I do need to build up the advert revenue, but I don't want, I think it was Ben in Australia who rightfully questioned that there were 6 adverts or something, so I do apologise, that's not me positioning 6 adverts in there, and I'll have a look on my laptop when I upload it. I do want to get the ad revenue and try and build up my presence on here, but obviously I don't want to irritate subscribers with too many adverts. So let me have a look at that, and please don't think that that's me being greedy in any kind of way, because I don't actually know how it works. I'm that much of a techno FUD boomer on that issue. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Follow me on Twitter @Benjamin Bloom. Hit subscribe, ring the bell if you are new here. And I'll see you for the next video, which may well be some Bundesliga stuff tomorrow. That'll be the next story, and whatever comes out of this EFL cluster meeting that's going to be this afternoon. Thank you for continuing support and all the new subscribers. Get the comments in. Please put your opinion. Do be kind if you disagree with anyone else. It's absolutely fine to have a different opinion, but we don't like to see the personal insults that sometimes appear on YouTube. But I will say, in the main, subscribers here on this channel are lovely. So with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Over and out.